Welcome to the 5th Annual Stirista Holiday Summit, hosted by AJ Gupta and Vincent Pietrafesa, featuring CEO of Innovair and Market Holdings, Chad Engelgau, Senior Director of Marketing at Taco Cabana, Frank Solis, Vice President of Business Strategy and Innovation for the San Antonio Spurs, Jordan Colossi, with special guests, Big Al Gonzalez, winner of the Funniest in South Texas competition as seen on Amazon Prime, and former Dallas running back and NFL legend, Tony Dorsett. This year's event brings together the incredible talent, passion, and dedication that have made 2024 Stirista's best year yet. As we celebrate today, let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've achieved. Thanks to each and every one of you, Stirista has reached new heights. Our data is now generating revenue on 170 unique platforms. We've expanded our reach to over 47,000 unique audience segments and have worked with over 6,100 agencies representing more than 73,000 unique advertisers in 2024 alone. But it's not just about numbers, it's about results. Through strategic improvements in vendor management and data consolidation, we've saved over $500,000 in costs. And despite these improvements, we've still grown our revenue by 40% with zero headcount increase on our data team. Our dedication has paid off. With a 95% client retention rate, we continue to strengthen our relationships with our clients. We've also introduced 2 major client bases to the Stirista organization in 2024, setting the stage for even more success. In 2024, we surpassed an incredible milestone, 2 billion emails sent, with email revenue growing 50% year over year through September. Our digital team has seen 80% year over year growth, generating over 1.6 billion impressions in just the last 12 months. Meanwhile, our creative team has shown remarkable success with 100% retention and a 33% increase in revenue. Our partnerships are stronger than ever. With LiveRamp, our largest partner channel, we've consistently broken the $1 million mark for 3 consecutive months, up 37% year over year. Trade Desk, our second largest partner, is also seeing impressive growth, up 13% from last year, further expanding our reach and impact. As we close the book on 2024, it's clear that this year's growth, innovation, and collaboration have had an impact. But we know that none of this would be possible without the talent, hard work, and dedication of the amazing people who make Stirista great. So, as we look ahead to 2025, let's take a moment to appreciate everything we've accomplished and get excited for what's to come. Thank you all for what you do. Happy holidays, and here's to an even brighter future ahead.
If you don't know me again, my title still is the Vice President of B2B Products, or as people call me around the office, ABM. Account-based marketing? No, a bit much. But we're going to have our first guest, ladies and gentlemen, joining me on the stage. You may notice something similar about us. It makes people real queasy. Let me welcome Mr. AJ Gupta. Who's sick of seeing this? Raise their hand. All right, those are the ones, AJ. Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
HR.
Taking notes.
AJ, talk about the moment you met me all those years ago. What was that like?
Changed my life.
Thank you. That's what I was going for.
Second only to meeting my wife.
Okay. But I noticed you didn't mention children. That's good. That's, I'll take it. But we met 15 years ago, 12 years ago.
I'm still 28, so that
You are still 28. You tell that to a lot of people.
Yeah, I think it's been about 12, 13 years, so maybe longer.
And what I noticed about AJ was his drive. Recently, I had the honor of introducing AJ at the Silver Apple Awards for Disruptor Award, and probably the youngest disruptor ever. And that's a big accomplishment here. And you know the things you're doing. So let's take a look back. 2024 is almost over. What were some of the defining moments this year at the company in 2024?
The last 3 weeks, we've gotten 3 different awards, so it feels like we're on a roll. And I think it just so happens we're getting it at this time of the year. but I think it's just a culmination of everything we have been doing for the past several years leading up to this year. But I think this year in particular, because a lot of our competitors were hurting, a lot of companies outside our industry were hurting. In fact, economy was the number one issue for a lot of people in this election. Yet we have been fortunate enough not to feel any of that pain for most part. We've had some clients here and there that are in trouble, but by and large, I think we're fortunate to have a client base that is so reliable and happy with the services we provide them. It's almost, it's very difficult to have a recession-proof business. And we have been able to do that for the last several years, being able to provide that level of quality service where normally marketing is the first thing that gets cut in a bad time. So it's a testament to all of us that we are able to get them to keep spending marketing budget in spite of the company may not be doing well, but they still believe that Stirista can help them retain and acquire new customers.
Why do you think companies in our industry are struggling?
Yeah, I think there's a few reasons for that. I think a lot of people talk about buzzwords like AI all the time, and as a result, they end up investing in products that make sense conceptually, but are not really adding value to clients. And I think our approach has always been, even though we are a marketing company, we're also a tech company, but we're not just developing tech for the sake of developing tech like some of our competitors are doing. Instead, we're looking at what do clients want. So sometimes it agitates people even internally. Why are we doing this? Is this going to be beneficial to multiple clients? But maybe not. But if it's beneficial to a handful of our clients and it makes sense and it's easy to do, then we usually, or I shouldn't say easy, nothing is really easy to do for our clients. But we are doing things because somebody wants it, because we're building a product that generates revenue versus taking we'll build it and they'll come approach.
AJ, what has been a fun aspect of your job this last year?
So unfortunately, most of the things I get in my email box is because somebody else didn't resolve the problem or it's been escalated. So unfortunately, it's a little bit depressing sometimes when I'm going through emails and it's just problems after problems, and it's not reflective of the company. It's just that somebody didn't, people thought I needed to be involved. So what makes me happy and excited is to see kind of like that Why Stirista channel, to see some of the positive things that are happening where people are showing things, or when clients reach out to me and say, not about you usually, but other people. Vincent did an excellent job, and I use it hypothetically again, but I could. So, but yeah, I think the big part of what brings me job satisfaction and still makes me want to continue to do this is to hear some of the positive things we're doing that makes a difference for our clients. And some of them are even internal things. If somebody is being extra helpful, if somebody is like, hey, we onboarded this new employee, they were very happy with that experience. So at the end of the day, reason we want to grow this company is to make sure we're still continuing to provide the same level of company culture that we did when we had 10 people and they all could fit on the stage and we could have a round table.
Oh, a lot of things that people talk to me about you is that you're accessible, right? You're at conferences, you are a man of the people out, right? A lot of people are like, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but they're like, wow, your CEO is so cool. And he's available. I mean, is that a conscious effort that you take to do that?
So I've done a lot of personality tests, and I'm kind of in the middle of introvert and extrovert. I could just as easily spend my Friday night being at home and not do anything. But at the same time, I think being around people, and I should say being around people I like, is probably the key word here. is I like to have clients that I actually like and get along with. So I won't name any names about some of the ones we don't work with anymore because you told me not to.
Please.
But I think, we have kind of I like to have a no asshole policy. And not to mention, I mean, there will be people that are mad with us sometimes, but generally speaking, we want to work with people that understand a mistake is a mistake. You might be mad for a day or 2 days, but if it's going to be a lifelong grudge against some employee or company, it's probably not the right fit.
Let's talk about our clients. I think we're unique in the sense that we have amazing clients, but for most of it, we get along so well. It's like there's a fun aspect, a lot of like partnerships and sales. It's a relationship business. And I think it's a testament to the people that we have, that our clients also really love us for the solutions that we provide, but also they get to see our personality, they have fun, and hopefully some people will hear that throughout today and beyond. But what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think a lot of people who actually end up working at Stirista, there's a handful of people that have come through recruiters, but for most part, even yourself, we first met where you were working for a different company that was a partner of ours. And I think working with people, again, comes back to you want to work with people, you want to hire people that you like. And Henry at Lotame or Aaron Grote at Great Clips, these are all guys that I knew really well. So when they started at Stirista, for you, I felt like I guess I've actually known you for 12 years, but it felt like we've known each other a long time. So it was a seamless day one. It wasn't like I had to tell you about Stirista or sell you on Stirista. You already kind of knew how cool I was. So
Yeah. And thank you for naming me third out of those group of other guys. Thank you, AJ. But ladies and gentlemen, your CEO and founder, Mr. AJ Gupta. The next panel, we've got our SVP of Marketing, Will Kunkel, with the Senior Director of Marketing for Taco Cabana, Frank Solis. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome them to the stage.
One thing we talk about a lot is ensuring that every touch point of the brand reflects who you are as a brand, right? Sure. So from the napkins at an event, to the way you host an event, to where you host an event, to what you put out there on social, what you put out there in the more traditional marketing channels. Do you have a kind of compartmentalized approach, a holistic approach? How do you tackle knowing that you have all these sort of components to
I think AJ mentioned, the importance of working with people that you like. We've partnered with, creative agency, PR agency, social media agency, and we really develop these very strong partnerships with them because they're not vendors. I don't like the word vendor. I like the word partner. Because really, if you're approaching it from that standpoint, you're really going to get the benefit when you have that right partner. I talk to everyone from the executive vice presidents to the owners to the founders and all the way down to the people that are working day to day. And I do that on a regular basis so that I'm not just looking at it from a strategy standpoint, but also from a tactical standpoint. Because I really think that you have to understand it top down and inside out. And so when you do that, I can say, okay, what's the brand expression? How is that going to come across in video that we're doing? How are we going to, in the POP that we put up in the restaurants, in any of the brand experience, to your point. And so really having that open line of communication, that constant line of communication with all the right partners helps inform all of that and keep that messaging consistent, keep the look, tone, feel consistent, and keep everyone executing against the strategy that we put in place.
Yeah, I always think of it too as like, we talk about leads and lead generation, right? And you can bring leads in, but somebody has to close them. I was going to ask you as well, as far as kind of maintaining the brand across the in-store experience. What measures or steps do you guys take to make sure that that's a good experience?
Sure. I mean, it's a bit of a challenge, right? Because the operators are so, they're focused on operations as they should be, right? And so they're, talking about the hospitality or the order accuracy or the speed of service, whatever it is. I mean, that's all part of the brand experience. It's all part of the overall value perception as well. But in terms of marketing specific stuff, we have tools in place. For instance, we put documents together that will help either the district managers or the general managers say, okay, here's what needs to be up. from a signage standpoint, for instance. Or here's a weekly recap of offers that might be going out so that they're informed, so they're not taken by surprise. Here's how we want you to talk about these types of things when someone asks about this product. Here's the description. So we've maintained that consistency of messaging throughout our almost 145 restaurants that we have here in Texas. So it's a lot to communicate. And what we don't want, exactly to your point, is for one restaurant to be doing one thing and then talking about the product a different way at a different restaurant. Same thing even really comes down to the food, right? When you cook that food, it needs to be consistent. That's what builds a brand. So it's implementing the right tools and implementing the right follow-up. Because we have a small team. I mean, we have a very small team. We're lean, but we get a lot done.
I guess to that same end, one thing I know a lot of brands wrestle with, and I would think especially true of in any retail space, but especially in food, how do you keep people excited, current customers and loyalists, and still drive engagement with new customers? I know it's, the one thing I hate more than anything is like a brand I've bought from 50 times, I don't get like a coupon from, but then if I randomly like sign up from another email address, they're like, save 30%.
Right. We do have a loyalty program. And so we use that loyalty program, it's the MyTC Rewards program. We use that to engage, obviously, our current guests, right? You sign up, get your reward, we incentivize you to come back, we do surprise and delight stuff, we do, all the things that are generally, that you would expect from a loyalty program. Segmentation, we look at different audiences and blah, 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 right? And then we take that data and use it for other marketing purposes as well to create other audiences, et cetera. Now, for new guests to drive that excitement, we do rely on our advertising, right? And so whether it's the creative that we put out there on social media, whether, trending content and, making it fun and making it interesting, but showcasing at the same time what sets us apart or what might be different about us at that time, right? So we have an LTO. Right now we have brisket, right? And our brisket's amazing. It's slow smoked in Texas, 14 hours, blah, blah, blah. All that stuff is really, really good product, right? So how do we let people know about that? The brisket lovers, the people that, want something different, that maybe have forgotten about us, have gotten tired of just getting breakfast tacos or steak fajita tacos or whatever. So there's two kind of components to what we do, generally speaking, from a strategic approach. So we look at value, and so whether that's a price point or kind of a bundle like our combos and that kind of thing, but then we also look at craveability. And so the craveability really is what kind of draws not just excitement from our current guests, because that goes hand in hand with value, but also with new guests. And so that excitement comes from that craveability. And then I think that along with all of that comes the differentiators that we have. So our quality, our freshness, all the stuff that's made in-house. We make our salsas in-house, we cook our meat on the grill, all that kind of stuff. So really letting people know and reminding people about those things helps us.
If there was one thing that you sort of held up as a tentpole in terms of thing you're most proud of, whether that be a campaign or a change you've made or a change you've just seen at the company since you're there, is there one thing that really stands out above all else?
I think the way that we've been able to achieve that consistency in our messaging, we've been able to, it's tough times for the restaurant industry. It's challenging all the way around in any industry really, but the restaurants are hardest hit, I think. A lot of what we've done is we put out there food items, LTOs that are appealing and that we've been able to message that consistently across all of our channels and getting people to come into our restaurants and keep them coming back.
Thanks for telling us all about your current role.
Absolutely. Hopefully it helps.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Everybody. Thanks.
I had my eyebrows waxed before I came out here. I was going for that mexosexual look. Except for when I did it, I just looked like a fat Count Chocula. Thank you very much. I appreciate you all. I did move out here from San Francisco. When I was living in San Francisco, I was living downtown. And I was paying, it was like 9 years ago, before the Rogan rush, before everybody came out here for Elon and Rogan. And I was paying $1,400 a month for a studio downtown. That's right, $1,400 a month for a studio downtown San Francisco, no parking. Then I moved here to San Antonio 9 years ago, and $1,400 got me an entire block on the west side. because the tortillas in California are a lot different than the tortillas right here in San Antonio. The tortillas in California are very much like the women in California. They're thin, they're white, they're wrapped in plastic. Not like the tortillas here in San Antonio, which are very representative of the women out here, a little bit thicker with little brown spots every now and then. One of the things I notice is people are very nice here in San Antonio. Have you all noticed that? People are genuinely nice. I'm not saying people weren't nice in California, but usually when they're nice out there, it's because they want something from you. But here in San Antonio, nobody wants anything from you. They just want to be nice. And the way I found out was when I first moved out here. I moved out here 9 years ago. I got into my apartment. I was hot, I was sweaty, I was tired. I just wanted a beer. So I went across the street, I saw a bunch of bars, and I said, I'm going to go buy a beer. I walked into the bar, never been there before. I sat down, and within a few seconds, a guy walks up to me and goes, you're not from around here, are you? I said, no, I'm not, sir. He goes, where are you from? I said, well, I'm from California. He goes, well, welcome to Texas, Cali. I said, well, thank you very much, Tex. Then he looks at me and goes, can I buy you a beer? I said, sir, you can buy me all the beers. And so he did. He bought me a beer. He bought me a Lone Star. I knew you had a Lone Star, but he bought me a Lone Star. I cracked it open, I drank it, and I regret it till this very day. There's a reason why Pabst Blue Ribbon bought it. All right. Sorry, Wisconsin. Sorry. But we did, we drank the beer, and then he said, hey, well, it's good meeting you. I hope it works out here in San Antonio. And he says, but I gotta go. I said, all right, Tex, take care. Then within a few moments, another guy walks up to me, and he sits down, and he goes, I couldn't help it over here, but you're from California. I said, yes, I am. He goes, I got family in California. I said, no kidding, so do I. And he goes, you mind if I buy you a shot? I said, sir, you can buy me all the shots. So he buys me a shot, we sit there, and we raise each other's glasses, and I said, you know what, I've been here for 15 minutes already, and you guys have already bought me a beer and a shot. I'm thinking I'm going to love San Antonio. So we cheersed, I drank it, and I had a good time. Then an hour later, it occurred to me that several gentlemen had bought me beers and shots. And what I thought was Texas hospitality turned out to be bear night down on Main Street here in San Antonio. Thank you, I appreciate it. Daddy was new in town, so I paired it up that night, ladies and gentlemen. Occasionally I return to the scene of the crime. They call me El Oso Grande there. So.
Now we are going to bring it back to my co-host for the summit and my co-host of the Marketing Stir. Two of my favorite CEOs, Ajay Gupta, and please welcome to the stage the CEO of Innovair, our friend Chad Engelgau.
So at Axiom and IPG, you work with some of the largest for-profit brands in the world. How do you take some of those strategies that you learned? What are you applying to the nonprofit world that didn't exist in the nonprofit world before?
What I think what we've all learned, and those who are very data-driven and come from data sourcing, is that ensuring that you're actually reaching real people is just fundamental. And of course, in a nonprofit where the amount of money you can actually spend on marketing is, lower than for-profits, every dollar really matters. And so being people-based, or what I'm starting to pivot that on and saying, donor-centric engagement across all channels is critical. And if we can reach with confidence the same individual or household that we know we're reaching in the inbox, which is the foundation for all fundraising today, in email, in social, right, with confidence on geo-targeted audiences from a search perspective, or even, in programmatic marketing, then I think it makes sense. But one of the things I'm telling folks is, we all know some of the fastest ways for charities to actually, cripple their fundraising is to go headfirst into digital marketing and fall into that trap of programmatic, where you don't have, complete control over the audience it's being delivered to. It's built upon intent, not actual audiences. We know that the amount of fraud that occurs actually out there is much higher than is actually reported. And so taking all the best practices that we've jointly developed over time with identity graphs, direct connectivity between the offline world and the digital advertising, and really leaning into that and requiring that to be the fundamental methodology you use in digital is at core to this transformation that we have to make.
So one of the hot button issues now is ethical use of data. It's something you write about and you're passionate about. So currently you have access to tons of first party data. So how do you kind of look at using data in an ethical way? What are some of the practices people should be using?
Yeah, it's a really great topic for all of us, and something that we'll see whether it emerges. As you know, we still lack a federal privacy law, but marketing globally, whether it was with Acxiom or even this new company, GDPR is putting a considerable amount of constraints on the ability to market. Of course, doing print production requires low-cost production. We have production facilities in China. We're emerging and expanding what we're already doing in India. Even in the United States, we're using lower-cost regions like Virginia or Iowa to do this. We have Mexico. And if you can't even send a name and an address to a valued partner, right, in a lower-cost region in order to produce the direct mail pieces, and it's necessary. It's not just a label on the outside of these envelopes. They're highly personalized. There's some ways and sometimes 7-way matches occurring in a direct mail marketing piece for fundraising. Your name is not just on the outside, it's on the cover level, it's on the response card, it's on a premium, personalized premiums. And so when we talk about data privacy, understanding the context of how we work, how data can securely be shared across clean rooms, across key exchanges, through these identity graphs is so fundamental for our industry to continue to promote. And as we did at Acxiom, and I know a focus as well for you all, data for good is so critical because it's not just for-profit companies, right, or surveillance economies, which is an exaggeration of what's happening in marketing. In marketing, of course, there is fair persuasion occurring in order to convince someone to take your product over something else, right? It's in fact mostly, challenges us as a society and others where not fair persuasion, but actually manipulation is occurring through the use of data, more on a political side, right, versus an actual commerce side. And if we can push these, this topic, if we can educate lawmakers and we can continue to drive larger coalitions, I think it's really going to empower not just the for-profit industry, but like nonprofits depend on this same data-driven marketing and these capabilities that Stirista has as much as for-profits do. And you could argue it's even more important for them. And so data-driven, the fair and ethical use of data, the controls we put around it are paramount. And I think we're ahead of the game in many ways. But again, legislatures can always throw us curveballs.
Chad, we have a lot of young marketing professionals at Stirista, and you have worked with thousands in your time at Acxiom and Innovare. What do you think it takes to succeed in marketing? You rose from the ranks at Acxiom to become the CEO. What can you share with some of the younger folks on what they should be doing to kind of get ahead of the curve in marketing?
Yeah, well, I think, AJ, and not just because I'm here, is a great example. I mean, everyone, regardless of what type of career you have or what type of job, you have to be passionate about what you do. You actually have to be inquisitive as well. And you want to have the desire to surround yourself with people who can help you in that path. As AJ said, he actively sought out numerous partners, not just, of course, to help build the business and build a business network, but of course to be learned and educated from and to help educate others on what they do. The marketing stir is all about educating people about best practices. And so as a younger professional, early career individual, really start honing in what interests me most and what can I not only learn from everyone around me, because throughout my career, I've learned, half of what I know fundamentally from interrogating all of the smart people around me. People who've been doing the job for 3, 5, 8, 10 years sometimes, and listening and learning and asking questions and not assuming that I know something that they don't, and, asking those questions. And then I think as well, learning about the world around us. We live in the age of information. As we used to say 10 years ago, we can use it, all day long to scroll the internet and look at pictures of cats and dogs and get in arguments with strangers. Or we can use the internet to really educate ourselves on any topic, really, and validate that knowledge across multiple sources. And so just having that curiosity, getting passionate around something that you're doing in the workforce as well as something that you're doing in your personal life, I think will create an amazing balance in your life and ability to rise through the ranks and not only be happy with what you're doing, but be a subject matter expert as well.
Chad, thank you so much for your time. I've learned a lot from you over the years. You've been very generous with your time, both today and over the years. And I think people will be surprised. There's rarely are talking business. Most of it is just conversations where we are learning. So,
Yeah,
and I think
absolutely.
that's very, very, very true in being inquisitive and being passionate about what's going on in the world around us. So, thank you again for joining us in our first live production.
Thank you.
Special treat. I know a lot of you love your San Antonio Spurs, so we have someone from the San Antonio Spurs office, Vice President, Business Strategy, Innovation, and Data Operations with the Spurs, Jordan Colosi.
So as Vincent talked about being one of the major sports franchises, as a native San Antonian, I will attest that the Spurs are beloved. 5-time NBA champs.
Yeah, I can't take all the credit, but
Well, tell us about your role with the Spurs.
yes, I've been with the team for about 8 years. The joke is I came in right after Tim Duncan retired, so they were looking for a fundamentally sound big man, and I got lost in the front office and in an Excel spreadsheet, and the rest is history. So, but yeah, obviously the team has been on a little bit of a journey that it hadn't been prior to me being there when we were winning championships. So we've kind of been trying to find ourselves and needing to be a lot sharper on the business side. And that's been a lot of my story, is building out a lot of the data infrastructure, the business functions around how to operate in an environment when the team isn't performing and is currently on the trajectory to.
Yeah, and I think that helps everybody have more context for what you do, because we know in sports there's the data side of who to draft and what players to pick, but you're really focusing on data and marketing. So that intersects with what Stirista does really nicely.
Love it. Yeah, and on the team side, I'll just to drill that point home, like you think of the money ball, that's really the product that we're selling. So if you think of like Apple, like that's the group that's engineering the product, the building the next iPhone. We are responsible for selling, customer support, all of that.
Yep. So talk more about that. Talk more about how data plays a role in marketing for the Spurs.
Really, I think there's 3 main buckets that we're focused on now. And that first bucket that kind of grew as I was coming into the league was the insights. So what are these data points? How can you quantify them to help you see things that you wouldn't otherwise be able to see, measure things you wouldn't otherwise be able to measure, and predict things that maybe your gut may misfire on from time to time. So what are those insights that we're providing? I think then you mature into operations. So how are you using systems and the way data moves between systems to make your staff, your salespeople's lives easier? So as we get inbound sales leads, does it sit in some repository and some form backend, or does that get piped into CRM? You send out an automated warming email just to give the rep time in order, or just to warm up the lead and confirm that they're actually interested before you use a human's time. So that operational layer is obviously very transformative for organizations. And I think really what we're moving into now is the productization. And obviously I don't have to tell this group this is your business, the productization of data. But I think as we look at the first party data that we're able to capture and aggregate in the context we're able to add and extrapolate on top of, that's a very valuable asset. You've heard for a long time that data is the new oil, things along those lines. And obviously this is what you guys do, but it's very novel for us to look at what we've aggregated and say, hey, this isn't something to give away. This is something valuable that we should protect, and can really enhance a lot of the other partner activations as we interact with other brands that are trying to engage with our fans on a lot of different levels.
Thank you so much for being here with us today and talking, and we really appreciate everything you do for San Antonio and the Spurs.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys. You guys are a big supporter of ours, so we love you guys.
Are we ready? We're our final guest of the morning, and it is a very special one. But before that, I'm going to introduce a very special guest to Stirista. He's going to give us his 2026 outlook on the company. No, I'm kidding. He's not. I love this next guy. He is one of my favorite people here. Ladies and gentlemen, Blaine Britton. Take it away.
Actually, I have no idea what I'm doing up here. But I am honored to be up here getting to introduce our last guest of the day. But before I did that, I wanted to make everyone who didn't want me to do this a little bit nervous by talking about the word of the day. The word of the day for me is guarantee. I guarantee Vincent was going to do a monologue this morning. He said he was thinking about not doing it. That was a guarantee it was going to happen. I guarantee the first word that you hear from Bill Noak will be thank you. And also the last one. I guarantee you'll get unsolicited financial advice from Steve Rinaldi. I guarantee this will not take too long because I'm super awkward up here, but I will deliver. But yeah, not about me. And again, very honored to be up here. We've got a really special guest. He's 3-time All-American out of the University of Pittsburgh. He's considered one of the greatest running backs of all time. He's accomplished what is kind of like every football player's dream scenario: winning a national championship, winning a Heisman Trophy, winning a Super Bowl, winning a Rookie of the Year, getting drafted first overall. He beat Georgia in that national championship. I could use one of those from my Longhorns. Beat the Denver Broncos in the Super Bowl, another huge accomplishment. And one of those guarantees, I guarantee his record of a 99-yard sprint for a touchdown will never be broken. Last but not least, he has 3 of the most distinct honors: College Football Hall of Fame, Dallas Cowboys Ring of Honor, and finally the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure. Please give him a big hand to introduce Tony Dorsett.
You know, I wanted to ask you because, you know, you did so much for the University of Pittsburgh. At the time when you were being drafted, the Steelers were kind of the team back then, right?
Oh, yeah.
Was any thought, did you want to ever play there because, you know, growing up in Pennsylvania? What was that thought?
I really wanted to play for the Steelers.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't, you know, coming out that year, 77, it was Ricky Bell and there was Tony Dorsett.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were going to be 1 or 2 or vice versa.
Yeah.
And the thing was, you know, because we had the expansion clubs, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Seattle Seahawks, that was going to be impossible.
Yeah.
So what happened was the fact that Dallas kind of tricked Seattle. They gave them about six players, and none of them, anybody could tell you, nobody knows who those 6 guys were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I got to be lucky. I got blessed with the good Lord to get me with the coach like Tom Landry and got my head straight, man, because, you know, I was big time. I thought I was the best of the best.
You were?
Well, spread the word.
You still are. He's like, how dare you say I was?
Yeah, but I loved it. I loved it.
I want to talk to you about the iconic 99-yard run for a lot of reasons. 1, because it was an amazing play. 2, there are a few Vikings fans here, so I thought I'd rub it in to their face a little bit. There's a few people from Minnesota. I'm thinking about Aaron and Erica here who still root for that team. But can you describe the feeling of scoring that iconic 99-yard touchdown, NFL record-breaking touchdown against the Vikings?
Well, let me say this first. I wasn't even supposed to be out on the field. I heard a play being called after the kickoff. And what happened with the kickoff was Ron Springs, our starting fullback, he received the ball and he fumbled it. We don't even know why he even decided to even try to catch the ball. He could have get out and start on the 20 yards, but he grabbed it. And when he started running, he was like, oh. And so I always say to him, I say, man, I helped save your career, man. I said, he thought he was going to get cut right on the field,
crazy, yeah.
because, and everybody was looking at him like, don't run.
Yeah, don't
Catch
do
the
it,
ball
yeah.
and just stop.
Kneel down.
But all of a sudden, he decided to take off.
Yep.
And take off, it wasn't a very good takeoff.
I want to talk about something, Tony. You mentioned that teammate. A favorite teammate you've had. I know it's hard to probably just put it down to one, but like your best teammate, any sport, any level for that matter.
Oh, wow. Well, I have so many guys, and it's not one that I'm on, because when I first came into the league, I was just like in awe, to come in. I came in from, winning a national championship, and we were number one in the nation, but to come to Dallas, and then to meet with the guys that were there, Newhouse and Starbuck and Dupree and Pearson and all, and I was like, and everybody was saying, this guy he's supposed to be coming in here, and he's supposed to be the ticket. He's going to be the guy that's going to get us over the top. And I was like, man, I was just like, and every player was waiting to see who this guy is. And when they would see me, they would be like, that little guy right there? He's going to do what? I said, this is the NFL. They said, I said, I don't care what it is. I'm just going to run with my blockers on. I'm going to run. And I said, and I can run fast.
Yeah. Well, you not only played, you dominated, and you're a legend, and we were so happy to have you here, Tony. Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Dorsett.
Nice to be here. Good to be here. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to introduce one more person not nearly as exciting as Tony Dorsett, Will Kunkel. But we love him. Come on up, Will.
But just for a second, I wanted to give us all a collective kind of pat on the back. We looked at the numbers up there. We've come a long way. I think we should just take a second to realize how lucky I think we all are, right? We work at a place that this crowd is, and this sea of people is getting bigger every year. We're making a lot of acquisitions, and by organic growth and everything else, we've grown exponentially. It's a much different company than it was 4.5 years ago when I joined. I think more importantly, though, we all really like each other. And if any of you don't like me, at least you have the courtesy not to tell me. So we at least get to live with the illusion that we all like each other. But no, seriously, I've said to AJ on numerous occasions, not long after I got here, that I've worked at a lot of places, a lot of ad agencies, and a lot of PR agencies and a lot of different kinds of companies. And this is by far the best time I've had the last 4.5 years that I've been here. And I hope you guys can say the same. And I know, we've got a lot of varying levels of experience. And so for some people, it's their first job. For some people, it's been their 14th or 15th job. But it's I really do believe this is a super special place to work. And I do appreciate that every day. So I hope everybody feels the same.
And that wraps up Stirista's 5th Annual Holiday Summit. Thank you for your dedication and for making Stirista exceptional. Wishing you happy holidays and a joyful, prosperous new year.